Thank goodness it isn't April 1st, because according to the official Harry Potter Instagram page, we've got yet another movie on the way, and this one's dropping on April 5th. Finding Harry, the Craft Behind the Magic is coming very soon. The official press release from Warner Bros. Reads as follows. HBO will debut an exclusive behind-the-scenes special for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, titled Finding Harry, the Craft Behind the Magic. The special offers an in-depth look at the making of the first season and will debut Sunday, April 5th at 8 p.m. in the UK, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Time in the US on HBO Max. It will also air on HBO in the US at 8 p.m. Eastern Time and Pacific Time that evening, as well as in other select global markets. It's been 25 years since audiences first walked the hallowed halls of Hogwarts. Now, this exclusive special offers an inside look at the epic scale and meticulous care behind HBO's new Harry Potter series, told through the lens of the artists, craftspeople, and technicians, bringing J.K. Rowling's beloved books to life for a new generation. Featuring interviews with members of the casting, production design, costume design, and creature effects teams, the special chronicles the extensive process behind finding our new Harry, Ron, and Hermione, while celebrating the awe-inspiring commitment to detail and immense talent that has come together to fill out this extraordinary world. With appearances from key cast members including John Lithgow, Janet McTeer, and Papa Sirdu, and narrated by Nick Frost, Finding Harry, the Craft Behind the Magic explores the exciting new era of one of the most enduring stories of our time, and HarryPotter.com included the following. Featuring interviews from members of the casting, production design, costume design, and creature effects teams, follow the behind-the-scenes journey of bringing the Harry Potter books to our screens. Find out how our new Golden Trio were found, and celebrate the commitment to detail of the artists, craftspeople, and technicians who have come together to bring the wizarding world to life. There's also a trailer for the doc across all of the official Harry Potter and HBO social channels. Now, a few thoughts. But before we continue, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video to support future content. First of all, dropping a trailer for yet another huge piece of Harry Potter content within just a few days of each other is bold. The second thing I want to mention is that this concept, dropping a behind-the-scenes documentary alongside a brand new Harry Potter adaptation, actually feels strangely familiar. Because we've sort of seen this before. Back in 2001, just as the world was being introduced to Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the BBC released a documentary called Harry Potter and Me, and it did something very similar. Hosted by J.K. Rowling herself, the documentary gave fans an early look behind the curtain, showing how this entire world was being brought to life for the first time. And perhaps most important of all, it also pulled back the curtain on the casting process. But here's the key difference, and it's a pretty important one. Harry Potter and Me actually aired after the Philosopher's Stone film had already been released. Philosopher's Stone was November 2001, and Harry Potter and Me was December 2001. So while it showed behind-the-scenes footage from before and during production, audiences didn't experience it that way. They had already seen Hogwarts, they had already bought into the world. The magic had already worked. Only then were they invited to look behind the curtain. And in my opinion, that changes everything, because it preserves that first viewing experience. You're not analysing green screens and set pieces, you're just experiencing the story. Whereas now, with this new HBO special, they're flipping that entire order, showing us how the trick works before we've even seen the illusion. And based on the title of the new movie, Finding Harry, the Craft Behind the Magic, I'd wager we're in pretty familiar territory. I'd also imagine that the original film, just like now, was operating under an immense amount of pressure. They had to get it right. According to the original doc, director Chris Columbus had seen countless auditions and still hadn't found the perfect fit. Because Harry isn't just any character, he's the anchor for the entire story. Basically, if you miss on Harry, the whole thing falls apart. And yet, unlike Hermione, where thousands of kids showed up to open casting calls, Harry was found in a much more structured and targeted way. Radcliffe wasn't pulled from a massive public audition pool. He was already a working child actor, having appeared in projects like David Copperfield, and was represented by an agent. According to multiple accounts, and as outlined in Harry Potter and Me, producer David Heyman noticed him after a theatre performance and recommended him for the role. At that point, the production had already reviewed a large number of candidates through more traditional casting channels, but hadn't finalised anyone. Radcliffe was then invited to audition and completed a screen test. The test was then shown to J.K. Rowling, who had approval over key casting decisions. She immediately responded very positively, and shortly after, he was offered the role. Based on the press release, it sounds like HBO is documenting a much more formalized version of that same process, involving large-scale casting searches, multiple rounds of auditions, screen tests between the final trio, and input from showrunners, casting directors, and producers. And unlike 2001, they now have a globally recognized version of the character, 2 decades of audience expectations, and a much larger talent pool due to online submissions. So if this special includes actual casting footage or details about how candidates were evaluated, it should give a clearer picture of how the new trio was selected, and how that process compares to the original film's approach shown in Harry Potter and Me. Now, how do I actually feel about it? While they may be following the same formula that they did back in the day, I still can't help but feel like dropping a trailer before the movies might somehow spoil the magic. Personally, I didn't see Harry Potter and Me until years later. I don't want to see green screens and behind-the-scenes props before I've even experienced the story. It sort of spoils the illusion, and that's really the key difference here. Back then, the documentary wasn't part of the core rollout for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. It existed, but most people discovered it after the fact, once the world already felt real, once you'd already bought in. Here, they're flipping that. They're putting the how it's made front and center before we've even seen the finished product, and that strikes me as a bit unusual. Some of the comments on the official Instagram post seem to echo that same sentiment. On the one hand, I get it. This is clearly meant to build hype and show people that they're taking this seriously. Casting, set design, practical effects, all of that. But on the other hand, part of what made the original films work so well was that initial sense of discovery. You walked into Hogwarts without thinking about how it was built. Basically, I just hope the doc stays fairly surface level. Show the casting process, talk about how they found the trio, that's all great. Just don't overdo it with revealing sets, scenes, or too much of the production itself before we've had a chance to experience it naturally. I'm all for sprawling sets like the doc advertises, but not at the expense of ruining the initial viewing experience. Because that first viewing experience is everything with a story like this. In short, this is probably good promo as it's got everyone talking, but as a Harry Potter fan, I sort of wish this came later. The good news is that the trailer does seem to include actual shots from the show, not just behind-the-scenes footage, which helps a bit. Because if it leans more into that kind of stuff and less into raw production breakdowns, then I feel like it still lets you experience this version of Hogwarts as a story first. And given how much there was to unpack from just the original 2-minute trailer, there's probably going to be an absolutely insane amount to cover from this entire doc. Potential Easter eggs, early hints at how faithful they're being to the books, and subtle differences from the films. So yeah, I'll probably end up breaking this down either way. I just hope the focus stays on what we're going to see, not too much on how it's made before we've had a chance to experience it. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live